Boker Tov, good morning, Shabbat Shalom. Welcome to our service at Solel congregation this morning. We're so happy that you're joining us for Shabbat worship, and especially because this morning we're going to be celebrating with Jeremy Wernich and his family as he becomes a bar mitzvah. And we're already kvelling and wishing Mazel Tov to his family, to Jen and Ryan and his sister Clara, to his grandparents, Penny and Brian, and Ed and Linda, his Aunt Marcy, all the friends and family that are joining us for our service this morning. We're so delighted that you're with us this morning. We are going to be praying this morning out of our Siddur, our prayer book, that looks like this. Not to worry if you don't have one at home. On the same page where you are praying with us this morning is a PDF link if you'd like to download and follow along. Some of our service is in Hebrew, some of it is in English. Not to worry again, the transliteration or Hebrew rendered into English characters is on the page as well. And we invite you to sing and to pray and to join with us as much as you can, and to sing loudly and to join with us in song. Additionally, there's a link on your screen this morning. I invite you to take photos this morning of yourself, of your screen, as we're joining together in this place, and to share them with Jeremy and his family so that he knows that you were here today and that this becomes part of the memories of his bar mitzvah this year. At this time, it's my pleasure to call upon his parents, Jen and Ryan, to present Jeremy with his talit and to say the blessing for putting on the talit as he puts on his prayer shawl for the first time.
O God, we give thanks for this day and for the years of growth and learning that have preceded it. Now, as our child steps forward to affirm his commitments to the ideals and commandments of Judaism, our soul is joyful, our mind is at peace. We pray that this day's service may long echo in Jeremy's memory. May it engrave upon his heart the understanding that this day initiates a life more firmly dedicated to the study of Torah and the fulfillment of mitzvot, to deeds of justice and kindness, to faithful membership in the household of Israel.
O God of Israel, like Jews of generation in the past, I take my place as a bar mitzvah. Grant that with them I may understand my responsibility as a Jew, to show love to my family and friends, to learn more and more about the traditions of my people. O God, make me grateful for all that I have, and ready always to share with those who are in need. Then I will be able to say, I am a Jew because 100 generations before me we were steadfast in their faith. I am a Jew because the faith of Israel teaches us love and kindness. I am a Jew because the faith of Israel teaches us justice, compassion, and truth. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'tivanu l'chitatef b'tzitzit.
Mazel Tov, Jeremy and Jen and Ryan. We're together on our screens this morning. I know how much you wanted to everyone be here in our sanctuary together, and that's hard. This year has been very hard for all of us. Jewish tradition and Jewish wisdom carries us forward and tells us to celebrate life, and so this morning we are celebrating this wonderful occasion with you, Jeremy, and we look forward to hearing your voice and your prayers, especially as you chant from Torah and Haftarah this morning and share your wisdom in your Devar Torah. So we begin this morning with the words of Matovu, part of our morning blessings. Page 71. It says, how good are your tents, O Jacob, your dwelling places, O Israel. And from our dwelling places this morning, we sing these words of praise. Yaakov, Ohalecha Yaakov, Mishkemotecha Yisrael, Ma Tovu, Ohalecha Yaakov, Ohalecha Yaakov. When we wake up in the morning, we pray prayers for our bodies and for our souls. And we're going to sing together the blessing for the soul, Elohai Neshama, at the top of page 73. God, the soul that you have given me is pure. Elohai, Elohai, Neshama. Ata yitzarta, ata nefachta bi, ve'ata meshamra b'kirbi. Elohai, Elohai, neshama, shenatata bi. Every day we have a new opportunity as well to learn and to grow, to learn something new and apply it to our lives. And so we sing together the blessing of La'asok b'divrei Torah, which means to engage in the study of Torah each day, on the top of page 74. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu la'asok b'divrei Torah la'asok b'divrei Torah Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu la'asok b'divrei Torah Torah, b'divrei Torah, la'asok b'divrei Torah, b'divrei Torah. It's my pleasure now to call upon Jeremy to lead us in the words of Elu Devarim on page 75.
Elu Devarim she'ein lachem she'ur, she'adam ochel perotechem ba'olam hazeh, v'hakeren kemet lo la'olam haba, ve'elu chen. Kibud av va'em, to honor father and mother. Ugmilot chasadim, to perform acts of love and kindness. V'hashkamat beit hadmirash sharhit varvit, to attend the house of study daily. V'achnaset orchim, to welcome the stranger. Uvikur cholim, to visit the sick. V'achnaset chatan v'chala, to bring marriage partners to the chuppah. Uvayat hamet, to accompany the dead to burial. V'un tfilah, to pray with sincerity. V'hava'at shalom bein adam lachavero, to make peace when there is strife. V'talmud Torah kenegev kulam, and the study of Torah is equal to them all, because it leads to them all.
Beautiful. Thank you, Jeremy, for reminding us of the mitzvot, the obligations that we have towards one another on a regular basis each day. And I invite you now to lead us in the words of Birchot Shabbat Yom, the blessings for each day that remind us that we do have the ability to do these things because we have been given strong bodies and minds. We have the opportunity to wake up in the morning, to open our eyes, to stretch, and to go out and do God's work in the world.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher natan lasach v'vina lechavim ben yom uvein laila. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, sh'asani b'tzalmo. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, sh'asani ben chorim. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, Sha'asani Yisrael. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, pokeach ivrim. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, malbish arumim. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, matir asurim. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, zokeach kufufim. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, rokach haaretz ol hamayim. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, sha'asa li kol tzorki. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, ha'me'echin mitzadei gaver. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, ozer Yisrael b'gvura. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, ozer Yisrael b'tifara. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, anoten la'aef koach. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, ha'ma'avir sheinai me'einai u'numa me'afapai.
Amen. We turn now to the words of Psukei de Zimra, Psalms and Poems of Praise. Please join with me in the words of the Ashrei, page 84. Ashrei yoshvei beitecha od yehalelucha sela. Happy are those who dwell in your house, they will sing your praise forever. Ashrei yoshvei beitecha od yehalelucha sela. Ashrei yoshvei beitecha od yehalelucha sela. Ashrei, Ashrei, Ashrei yoshvei beitecha. Ashrei, Ashrei, Ashrei yoshvei beitecha. Happy are those who dwell in your house, they will sing your praises forever. Happy are those who dwell in your house, they will Ashrei Yoshvei Beitecha Od Yehallelu Chasela Ashrei Yoshvei Beitecha Od Yehallelu Chasela. And for these psalms and poems of praise, this Thanksgiving on this beautiful Shabbat morning, it's my pleasure to call upon Jeremy's grandparents, Linda and Ed Wernich, to share with us a blessing of Thanksgiving.
We thank you, O God, for our family and friends and what we mean and bring to one another. We are grateful for the bonds of loyalty and affection which sustain us and keep us close to one another, no matter how far apart we may be. We thank you for implanting in us a deep need for each other and for giving us the capacity to love and to care. Help us be modest in our demands of one another, but generous in our giving to each other. May we never measure how much love or encouragement we offer. May we never count the times we forgive. Rather, may we always be grateful that we have one another and that we are able to express our love in acts of kindness. Keep us gentle in our speech. When we offer words of criticism, may they be chosen with care and spoken softly. May we waste no opportunity to speak words of sympathy, of appreciation, of praise. Bless our family and our community of loved ones with health, happiness, and contentment. Above all, grant us the wisdom to build a joyous and peaceful home in which the awareness of your presence will always abide.
Thank you, Linda and Ed. What a beautiful message for Jeremy on this important day in his life. A message really for all of us of what it is that we can be grateful for. And as we are grateful, we also sing Psalms of Praise. Psalm 150 at the bottom of page 89. Kol hanshama tehalel, let every soul, let every breath praise God. Hallelujah, 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 hallelujah. Hallelujah, hallelujah, Kol hanshama tehalel, hallelujah, hallelujah, Kol hanshama tehalel, hallelujah, 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 hallelujah. Hallelujah, 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 hallelujah. It's my pleasure now to call upon Jeremy's grandparents, Brian and Penny Laskin, to share words of blessing and thanksgiving on this morning as well.
Jeremy, the future is yours to create. What a terrifying thought. How will you know what to do? Where do you start? You can call upon your heritage, rich and embracing, filled with love and support, never defeating, always reassuring. It will strengthen you in mind, body, and soul. Foremost in our thoughts, you will not disappoint those who came before you. God, help Jeremy to know what to do, guide him, nurture his strength, and sustain his courage.
Thank you, Brian and Penny, for that beautiful blessing for Jeremy on this wonderful day in his life. As we continue now, we are going to transition to the next part of our service, and Clara Wernich, Jeremy's sister, is going to lead us in the words of Chatzi Kaddish at the bottom of page 92.
Yikadal v'yikadash Shamei Rabbah.
Amen.
B'aman divrahute v'amlik mahute b'chaye honu v'yome hon uv'haye decho beit Yisrael bagala uvizman kariv ve'yimeru amen Yehi shmei Rabbah mevora Le'alam ulal me'omaya, Yitbara, Yichtaba, V'yitpa'ar, V'yitroman, V'yitnase, V'yitadar, V'yitale, V'yitalal, Shemei Dekudisha, Barihu, Le'elai min kol birhata, Bashirata, Tushbehata v'nemata darim rambeomav ve'imeru. Amen.
Thank you, Clara, for leading us into this next section of the service. Shema u'berchotecha, the Shema and its blessings. As we turn to page 95, we rise physically or spiritually for the words of Baruch Hu. Yai, lai, 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 lai. Yai, lai, 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 lai. Yai, lai, 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 lai. Yai, lai, 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 lai. Yai, lai, 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 lai. Yai, lai, 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 lai. Baruch Hu et Adonai Amen. Please be seated, and we're going to join together in a prayer for creation, the morning blessing, which is on the bottom of page 95. Please join with me. We praise you, eternal God, whose presence fills creation, creator of light and darkness, who makes peace and gives life to all. With compassion, you illumine the world and its inhabitants. Through your goodness, creation is continually renewed. How you have varied your works, all of them were made with wisdom. The universe is filled with your creative power. The stars and the planets themselves radiate praise for you. Cause a new light to shine upon Zion, and may we be worthy to behold its splendor. We praise you, Eternal One, the creator of light. We turn to the words of Ahava Rabbah on page 98. These words remind us that God has given us a gift, that we have the gift of Torah and mitzvot, the obligations or the commandments to follow. These words say, enlighten us with your Torah and inspire us to embrace your mitzvot. So we're going to sing those words together in the middle of page 98. Blessed are you, Eternal One, who chooses your people Israel with love. And with love, we continue with the words of the Shema and Ve'ahavta, these words from Deuteronomy that remind us to listen, to pay attention to our hearts, to hear with our ears and with our souls that God is one. So it's my pleasure now to call upon Jeremy and Clara to lead us in the words of Shema and those that follow the words of Ve'ahavta that remind us to follow the mitzvot, the commandments.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad, Baruch Shem, Kevod Malchuto, Le'olam Va'ed, Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha, Bechol levavcha, Ubechol nafshecha, Ubechol meodecha, V'chayu Hadvarim ha'elach, Asher Anochi mitzavecha, Hayom al levavecha, V'shinantam levanecha, V'dibarta bam, V'shivtecha v'veitecha, Uvlachtecha v'adera, Uvshokbecha uvkumecha, Uvshartam leot al yadecha, Uvletotefot beineinecha, Uvtoktam al mezuzot beitecha, Uvisharecha, Leman tiskeru, V'asitem et kol mitzvotai, V'tem kedoshim le'Elohehem. Ani Adonai Elohechem, Asher hotzeitzietem me'eretz Mitzrayim, li'och lechem l'Elohim. Ani Adonai Elohechem emet.
Beautiful. Thank you, Jeremy and Clara. You know, the words of the Ve'ahavta remind us of all the mitzvot that we keep. And as you become a bar mitzvah this morning, Jeremy, now you are responsible for learning and studying, and not only doing those things, but also for living according to the mitzvot of Torah. Please join with me in the words of Emet V'Yatziv on page 103. Emet V'Yatziv, true and certain it is that you are God. As we yearn for certainty in a constantly changing world, enable us to find its source in you. Nachon v'kayam, firm and enduring is your name throughout all the generations. May our trust in you preserve us for generations to come. Ahu v'chaviv, beloved and precious, are your teachings to our ancestors and to us. By observing the traditions of our people, may we come to meet you as our ancestors did and bring your presence into our lives. Norah ve'adir, awesome and majestic is the redemptive power that you have displayed to the people of Israel. Our people witnessed your presence when you delivered us from slavery to freedom. In beholding your redeeming power, we discovered our own capacity for tikkun olam, the mending of the world. Moses lifted his staff and showed us the power of trust. Waves of the sea swelled apart, and we crossed over to the shore of freedom. Miriam lifted her timbrel and showed us the power of song. Waves of voices swelled together, and we gave thanks to you for the gift of freedom. Tehilot le'el elyon, like our ancestors, we raise our voices in song to the supreme God, the source of blessing. As we sing these same words from the book of Exodus, as our ancestors stood at the shore of Freedom Sea, we are reminded that it is our obligation and our opportunity as well to make sure those who are not yet free find freedom.
שיבחו גאולים לשמחה שפתיים יחד כולם הודו והמליכו ויאמרו אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד אדוני ימלוך
It's my pleasure once again to call on Clara to lead us in a reading on page 105, God of our Ancestors.
Why do we say our God and the God of our ancestors? There are two sorts of believers. One for whom faith has been handed down from our ancestors. The other has arrived at faith through searching and contemplation. In the first instance, faith cannot be shaken no matter how many objections are raised to it, but there is a flaw in this. Faith is passed on from generation to generation as part of our tradition, and so it may have been learned without thought or reasoning. The advantage of the second is that faith is reached through its own power, through much searching and thinking, but this faith also has a flaw. It is possible to shake it by offering contrary evidence. But the one who combines both kinds and faith is invulnerable. That is why we say our God, because of our searching, and the God of our ancestors, because of our tradition.
We turn now to page 106. We're going to be entering into the section called the Amidah, the standing prayer, or the section which has a number of blessings that we begin with the words of Avot Va'imahot, God of our ancestors, the Givurot, God's power and might, and the words of Kedusha, which remind us of holiness that is present in the world and the opportunity that we have as partners with God to bring that holiness to the world itself. But we begin with the words of Tzur Yisrael. And on the third word, Kuma, we're going to rise, turn towards the east, and chant those three blessings aloud. Following that, we're going to take a few moments to finish the rest of the prayers in this section. And once you have reached page 118, you may resume your seat. So I invite you now to rise in body or in spirit for the words of the Amidah. Tzur Yisrael, Kuma Bezrat Yisrael, Uvdeichinu Mecha Yehuda veYisrael. Go Aleinu, Adonai Tzvaot Shemo, Kedosh Yisrael. Baruch Ata Adonai, Ga'al Yisrael. Adonai Sevatai Tiftachu v'yagid Tehilatecha. Baruch Ata Adonai Eloheinu v'Elokei Avotenu v'Imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor v'Hanura, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim v'Konei Hakol, V'zocher chasdei avot v'imahot, u'mevii geula libnei bneihem, למען שמו באהבה. מלך עוזר ומושיע ומגן, ברוך אתה אדוני מגן אברהם, ועזרת שרה. אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני, מחיה כל אתה רב להושיע. מכלכל חיים בחסד, מחיה הכל ברחמים רבים, סומך נופלים ורופא חולים ומתיר אסורים, ומקיים אמונתו לשני עפר, מי כמוך בעל גבורה, ומידו מלך מלך ממיתון חיי ומצמיח ישוע, ונאמן אתה להחיות הכל, ברוך אתה אדוני מחיי הכל. נקדש את שמך בעולם, כשם שמקדישים אותו בשמרון, ככתוב על יד נביאך, וקרא זה אל זה ואמר, קדוש קדוש קדוש, אדוני צבאות, מלוא כל הארץ כבודו. אדיר אדירנו אדוני אדוננו מאדיר שמך בכל הארץ, ברוך כבוד אדוני ממקומו.
Echad hu Eloheinu, hu Avinu Malkeinu, hu Moshiachenu v'hu Yashmienu, Barachamav le'nei kol chai. Ani Adonai Elohechem, Yimloch Adonai le'olam, Elohai yichzion, L'dor v'ador, Alleluia. L'dor v'ador, L'dor v'ador, L'dor v'ador nagid god lecha, L'dor v'ador, L'dor v'ador, L'dor v'ador nagid god lecha, Ulenetzach netzachim, ulenetzach netzachim, kedushatcha, nagdish. Ulenetzach netzachim, kedushatcha, nagdish. L'dor v'ador, L'dor v'ador, L'dor v'ador nagid god lecha, L'dor v'ador, L'dor v'ador, L'dor v'ador nagid god lecha, v'shivchacha Eloheinu mipinu lo yamush le'olam le'olam va'ed. V'shivchacha Eloheinu mipinu lo yamush le'olam le'olam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai ha'el hakadosh.
The rabbis teach us that the most important blessing is peace. So we conclude this section of our service with the words of Oseh Shalom on page 120. May the one who causes peace to reign in the high heavens, let peace descend on us, on all Israel, and all the world, and let us say, Amen.
Oseh Shalom, Bimroma, Uyaseh Shalom, Aleinu, Ve'al Kol Yisrael, Ve'imeru, Amen. Oseh Shalom, Bimroma, Uyaseh Shalom, Aleinu, Ve'al Kol Yisrael, Ve'imeru, Amen. Oseh Shalom, Bimroma, Uyaseh Shalom, Aleinu, Ve'al Kol Yisrael, Ve'imeru, Amen. Oseh Shalom, Bimroma, Uyaseh Shalom, Aleinu, Ve'al Kol Yisrael, Ve'imeru, Amen.
We turn now to page 125 for the beginning of the section of Seder Kriyat HaTorah the order for the reading of Torah on Shabbat, during which time we shall call upon Jeremy to read from the Torah for the first time as a bar mitzvah. It's a pleasure for me to call upon his parents, Jen and Ryan, to lead us in reading Aleph on page 125.
May your eyes sparkle with the light of Torah and your ears hear the music of its words. May the space between each letter of the scrolls bring warmth and comfort to your soul.
May the syllables draw holiness from your heart, and may this holiness be gentle and soothing to you and all God's creatures.
May your study be passionate and meanings bear more meaning until life itself arrays itself to you as a dazzling wedding feast.
And may your conversation, even of the commonplace, be a blessing to all who listen to your words and see the Torah glowing in your face.
Mazel Tov. It's my pleasure to call upon Jeremy's grandparents and his parents as the Torah is passed to him.
Today, as we pass the Torah down to you, we share the love of our family, our community, our Jewish history, and our family celebrations. And we acknowledge the long support of Ryan and of Linda and Ed, without which none of this might have happened.
Today, as I pass Torah down to you, I share the love of our family, our Jewish community, our history, and our family celebrations. I hope our traditions will bring joy and meaning to your life.
Al Shosha Devarim, Al Shosha Devarim, Al Shosha Devarim, Haolam Omeid, Al Torah ve'al Avodah ve'al Gemilut Chasadim, Al Torah ve'al Avodah ve'al Gemilut Chasadim, Al Shosha Devarim, Al Shosha Devarim, Al Shosha Devarim, Haolam Omeid.
On three things the world stands: on Torah, on prayer, and on acts of loving kindness. And so, Jeremy, as you're called to the Torah this morning, as a bar mitzvah, we hope that all of those things will be part of your life and to give you strength and courage. This morning, we're going to be reading from Parshat Shlach Lecha, which is Numbers chapter 13, verses 21 and following. That's the section Jeremy is going to be reading this morning. If you're following along in the Torah commentary at home, you can follow along in the new commentary on page 980 or in the older commentary on page 1108. So again, that's Numbers chapter 13, verse 21. It's my pleasure now to call upon Julia Botnick, Jeremy's tutor, who also is serving as our Gabbai this morning, to call him and the Aliyot to the Torah.
Hi, Jeremy. I just wanted to thank you for the honor of being your Gabbai this morning, and more so for the honor of having been able to work with you to practice for your bar mitzvah and get you ready for this day. You've worked so hard. You have a lot to be proud of. Your family is proud. I am proud, and I'm very excited to see this day come to fruition. Our first call out today is going to be Jeremy's aunt, Marcy Laskin. Ta'amod Rishona, Mira Daniela Bat Baruch Uparo.
Baruch Hu et Adonai Hamvorach,
Baruch Adonai Hamvarach Leolam Va'ed.
Baruch Adonai Hamvorach Le'olam Va'ed, Baruch et Adonai Eloheinu Melech Haolam, Asher Bachar Banu Mikol Hamim, V'natan Lanu et Torto, Baruch et Adonai Noten HaTorah.
Amen. Vaya'alu vayaturu et ha'aretz mimidbar tzin ad rechov levo chamat. ויעלו בנגב, ויבוא עד חברון, ושם אחימן שישה ותלמי, ילידי הענק בחברון. 7 שנים נבנתה לפני צאן מצרים. ויבוא עד נחל אשכול, ויכרתו משם זמורה ואשכול ענבים אחד, וישאוהו במות בשניים, ומן הרומינים ומן התאנים. למקום ההוא קרא נחל אשכול על אודות האשכול, אשר כרתו משם בני ישראל.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher natan lanu Torah emet, v'chayei olam neta b'tochenu. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Our second aliyah today is going to be from Jeremy's grandparents, Brian and Penny Laskin. Ya'amdu shneim, Baruch David ben Yosef ve'usna, Pero Rachel bat Moshe v'Dora.
Baruch et Adonai Hamvorach.
Baruch Adonai Hamvorach Leolam Va'ed.
Baruch Adonai Hamvorach Leolam Va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim, v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen. Vayashuvu mitur haaretz miket 40 yom. Vayalhu vayavov el Moshe ve'el Haran ve'el kol adat b'nei Yisrael al midbar Paran kadesha. Vayashivu otam davar vet kol haida, vayar'um et pri haaretz. Vayisapru lo vayomru, ba'anu el haaretz asher shlachtanu, v'gam zvatala udvash, hi v'zepriya.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher natan lanu Torah emet, v'chayei olam nata b'tochenu. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Our third aliyah is honoring Jeremy's parents, Jen and Ryan. Ta'amod shlishi, Shena Chana bat Baruchu Pearl.
Baruch hu et Adonai Hamvorach. Baruch Adonai Hamvorach Leolam Va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim, v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen. Efez ki az ha'am hayoshev be'eretz v'che'arim b'tzurot gedolot me'od, v'gam yilidei ha'anak ra'inu sham. Amalek yoshev be'eretz ha'negev v'chachiti, v'yevusi v'cha'emori yoshev ba'ar, v'yaknani yoshev al hayom v'al yad hayarden. V'yas Kalev et ha'am el Moshe v'yomer alo na'aleh v'rashnu ota ki yachol nuchal la.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher natan lanu Torah emet, v'chayei olam nata b'tochenu. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
And our last aliyah is for the bar mitzvah boy, Jeremy. Ya'amod bar mitzvah, Yosef Ephraim ben Shenachana.
Baruch Hu et Adonai Hamvorach.
Baruch Adonai Hamvarach Leolam Va'ed.
Baruch Adonai Hamvarach Leolam Va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen.
V'ha'anashim asher alo imo amru lo nuchal la'alot el ha'am ki hazak hu mimenu. Vayatziu divat ha'aretz asher taru ota el bnei Yisrael lemur. Ha'aretz asher avarnu va latur ota. Eretz ochelet yoshveya hi v'chol hayam asher ra'inu v'tucha ansei midat v'sham ra'inu et hanfilim b'nei anak min hanfilim vanhi ve'einenu kahagavim v'chan chayinu ve'einechem. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Torat emet v'chayei olam nata b'tochenu. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen. Yeshar koach, Jeremy. Wonderful. That was really beautiful chanting of Torah this morning. I look forward to hearing you chant again for us at Solel in the future. Vezod haTorah asher sam Moshe lipnei bnei Yisrael el pi Adonai v'yad Moshe. Jeremy's Haftarah this morning comes from the book of Joshua. He's going to be reading from chapter 2, verse 8 through 13. You can find that in your newer commentary on page 998 or in the older commentary on page 1262. Ta'amod ya'amod Yosef Ephraim ben Shenachana hamaftir.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bachar bimrim tovim v'ratzah v'divrechem hane'emarim be'emet. Baruch atah Adonai habocher b'Torah u'v'Moshe avdo u'v'Yisrael amo u'v'viviei ha'emet v'tzedek. V'hema terem yishkavun v'hi alta alehem al hagag v'tamer el ha'anashim yedati kinantahan Adonai lechem et ha'aretz v'hi nachlach emachem aleinu v'hi namogu Kol yoshvei ha'aretz mipneihem ki shamanu et asher havish Adonai admei yamsu mipneihem batekem mimizrayim va'asher asitem lishnei mocheichem mori asher be'ever hayarden l'sichon u'og asher hayramtem otam. Vanishma v'yamas levavenu lo kama od ruach b'ish mipneihem ki Adonai Eloheihem hu Elohim bashamayim ima'ol ve'al ha'aretz מתחת. ועתה הישבונה לי באדוני, כי עשיתי עמכם חסד, והישאתם גם אתם עם בית אבי חסד, ותתם לי אות אמת. וכך הייתם את אבי ואת אמי, ואת אחי ואת אחיותי, ואת כל אשר לכם, והצלתם את נפשותינו ממבוא. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם, צור כל העולמים, צדיק בכל הדורות, האל הנאמן, האומר ועושה, המדבר ומקיים, שכל דבריו אמת וצדק. על התורה ועל העבודה ועל הנביאים ועל יום השבת הזה שנתת לנו אדוני אלוהינו, לקדושה ולמנוחה, לכבוד ותפארת. על הכל אדוני אלוהינו אנחנו מודים לך ומברכים אותה, יפרש שמך בפי כל חי תמיד לעולם ועד. ברוך אתה אדוני מקדש השבת.
Amen. Jeremy, we are so proud of you this morning. Simen tov, mazel tov, mazel tov, simen tov, simen tov, mazel tov, mazel tov, simen tov, simen tov, mazel tov, mazel tov, simen tov. Mazel Tov, Jeremy, on such beautiful renditions of chanting Torah and Haftarah this morning. And we're looking forward, of course, to your words of wisdom soon, your Dvar Torah. Before that, however, we want to also think about those in our families and our community who are in need of healing on this Shabbat. And I invite you now to think about those in your family, those of your friends, and our wider community who is in need of healing. Our world is in need of a lot of healing right now. In our community, we especially are thinking this morning of Shirley Herman, Esther Wuchenmark, Shoshana Burr, Gunter Thompson, Rick Valentine, Simon Green, Yvonne Dixon, Marlene Friedman, Linda Levenheck, Jack Kudlatz, Francis Van Tyne, Suzanne Sher-Stimson, Mordechai Sangelovici, Michal Suriel, Bernie McLennan, Harriet Lockman, Jill Rich, Ellen Becker, Ilana Miriam Barchava, Nicola Proetti, Lois Dean, Eliyahu Ben Yitzhak Visara, Phil Berkowitz, Liz Travis, Rebecca Bodbull, Parker Keiko, Tzvi Tzur, Philip Shepard, Raymond Stein, and Ron Dubois. And as we lift up these names, I also invite you to speak aloud the names of those for whom you are praying this morning, or to hold their name in your heart. As we sing the words of the Misha Berach prayer together on page 133, we ask God to give them comfort and strength to give healing to our world. May the source of strength who bless the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say Amen. It's now my pleasure to call upon once again our bar mitzvah for this morning, Jeremy Wernich, who will share his words of wisdom in the words of his Devar Torah.
My Torah portion is about Israelites from 12 different tribes, one person from each tribe, going to scout out the promised land. They went to scout out the land for 40 days and came back to report what they had found to Moses, Aaron, and the community. They found that a lot of good things to show how rich the land was. For instance, they found a cluster of grapes so big that 2 men had to tie a vine to logs and carry it out. They also found that the people that inhabited the land were extremely powerful. When they returned from the land, 10 of the 12 scouts said, "We cannot attack these people, for it is stronger than we." Meaning most of the scouts had no confidence or faith in God's promise. 2 of the scouts, Caleb and Joshua, were different though. They had said, "We should attack, for we will surely gain possession of it." Caleb and Joshua had confidence that they would gain the land, and also had faith in God because God had brought them this far and was not going to let them down before they reached their final destination. The Israelites didn't give up and got to the promised land eventually. There are a lot of things I learned from my Torah portion that can be applied to everyday life. Whenever decisions need to be made, there will also be multiple opinions on the topic. To find the best solution, you will need to be willing to listen to the minority and not blindly follow the influence of the majority. Although the minority might not always be right, they might have some good ideas, and you need to be willing to change your mind after hearing these different ideas. If you are in the minority, you need to stand up for what you think is right and make sure your voice is heard without letting the majority take over because they have more people. My portion is also about taking risks. Caleb and Joshua wanted to take a risk by attacking the people who inhabited the promised land. Although this was going to be dangerous, they understood that if they were successful, it would benefit their people for many generations to come. They considered the risk and determined that benefits outweighed the danger. Also, the older generation might be a little less willing to take risks and try new things, so we need to trust and support the younger generation who might be a bit more willing. This portion also teaches us that you can't go into a battle, a game, or even life in general with a mindset that you're going to lose, because then you have a higher chance of losing. You have to have a positive mindset to do well. If you lose in a game, you can't give up on your long-term goals. Every loss can be a learning experience and a push to get better. Just like Caleb and Joshua, I have taken risks, such as trying out for a rep baseball team or going on the Yukon Striker roller coaster for the first time. By taking these chances, I have gained more friends and realized that things can be fun even if they seem scary at first. These risks have made my life so much better and have introduced me to the people who have helped me get here today. Now that I'm a bar mitzvah, I can take more responsibilities and risks in life that will benefit me, my family, and even my community. Thank you.
Thank you, Jeremy, for leading so beautifully in prayer this morning, for chanting Torah and Haftarah, and most of all for your commentary this morning on the Torah portion. You know, I think that we have many things to be grateful for today, especially to have a generation such as yours with wisdom, with insight, with thoughtfulness such as yours. The teachings that you're sharing with us are so important. You know, talking about the fact that the scouts or the spies went into the land and only 2 of them, Caleb and Joshua, came back with a positive report. And that's a challenge. It's difficult when decisions need to be made and when there's a minority and a majority opinion. But you might be interested to know, Jeremy, that within the Talmud itself, which is commentary on the Torah, tells us how to live Jewish life. The rabbis' opinions on matters of law and ritual, they note not only the majority opinion, but also the minority opinion. Because Jewish people have continued to study these traditions and these teachings for thousands of years. And the rabbis insisted that it is important to note in this book of law, this law code, where most of the time the only thing that you get is the majority opinion, the minority opinion as well. It's very unusual. It's usually, as I said, just the deciding opinion. So why do the rabbis say that it's important to note the minority opinion? They said perhaps in the future we're going to need that, and it gives us the opportunity to look at that and to change positions. You're also commentary on taking risks and the risks you have taken in your life. Life is about risk and challenges and opportunities. And it's sometimes putting those things in front of us, the choices we have to make can be scary. But taking risks such as trying out for the for the baseball team or trying a scary roller coaster can teach you certain things. Our Jewish culture teaches us that we have to be careful, but also that we have to look forward to the future. And the generation of those who were waiting to go into the land, some of the people there, perhaps they were older people, as you said rightly, sometimes the older generation is challenged to take risks. Some of that has to do, I think, with the fact that they've seen in their own lifetimes some of the challenges and bad experiences. Our tradition also tells us to have respect for the elders among us. One of the things I was thinking about as you're speaking is when you get on a bus in Israel, there's a sign that's written there. It says, Mipnei Seva Takum, which means to rise before the aged. That actually comes from a portion that we just read a couple of weeks ago. And that's just sort of a phrase that a lot of people already know. So it reminds us, in a sense, of our core values as a community, and that we have to stand on the shoulders of the ones who came before us. So it's important, too, to acknowledge everyone in the community. And I think especially this morning, as we heard the beautiful words of blessing from your grandparents, from Linda and Ed, and from Ryan and Penny, I'm reminded of all of the many things that you have been taught by your grandparents and also by your parents, by Jen and Ryan, who are standing with you this day, and Kvelling, very proud of you. But you're right, we do need to trust the younger generation and to look forward to the new generation. I was reminded of a song by a songwriter named Bob Dylan. You might not know who he is, Jeremy. You can go ahead and Google him if you want to. Bob Dylan turned 80 last week. And about 50 plus years ago, I think, probably more than that actually, 60 plus years ago, he stood on the bima for his bar mitzvah. Anyway, he wrote a song that's called The Times They Are A-Changin'. And as you're talking about, what it means to take risks and to go forward and to look at the new generation, it was reminding me of that. Those lyrics still resonate with me, especially, I think, in the year that we've just come through. It's been a really, really challenging year for our world, and it's a challenging time. We've been living through so much. We've been living through a pandemic, the likes of which we've never seen in our lifetimes. We've been living through terrible racism and racial reckoning that is long overdue, with the deaths of George Floyd and Regis Paquette here in Canada. And it's made us really think, and we've also been looking at climate change. All of that makes me think, Jeremy, that we really need to look towards your generation, the younger generation, because you're the ones that are telling us this is what needs to be done to save our planet, this is what needs to be done to heal our world. You're thinking out of the box. And in Judaism, we try to make the world better. We call it tikkun olam, or world repair. It tells us that we're partners with God in fixing the messy and the broken parts of this amazingly beautiful but sometimes fragile world. And doing tikkun olam sometimes means taking on responsibilities and sometimes risks, but most of all, it means that we have to live with that positive mindset that you speak about, to live with optimism, to live with hope, that we can work together and look out for one another and build a better world for everyone. Jeremy, you and your generation are our future, and you stand on the shoulders of those who came before you, and we can't wait to see what you will become. So I wish you and your family mazel tov on this wonderful morning. It is a pleasure and an honor to be with you today on this bima. Shabbat Shalom. It's my pleasure now to call upon your parents, Jeremy, Jen, and Ryan, who want to share some words of blessing with you.
Thank you to everyone who made this day possible and listened to us talk about it for months. As some of you might know, Jeremy has been preparing for this day since February 2020. Thank you to Rabbi Pollock, Arlene, and Joel for all of your hard work and effort, and a special thank you to Julia and Talia for your work with Jeremy. Thank you to all of our family and friends for watching today and all of your encouraging messages for Jeremy. I know he will love reading them all. Jeremy, you were always the easy baby, the one who ate when he was supposed to and slept when he was told, with some good coaching from mom, of course, and even anywhere we took you. You were not the child that climbed over everything or got into everything. Grandma always loved how she knew she could take you anywhere and you would never leave her side. You were pretty chill. You know when to get happy or hyper. You have your moments, though, of crying over literally anything, like being told to eat cake at your first couple birthday parties, being forced to wear a nice outfit to synagogue, or when I really just want a picture of you, or most recently, when a Fortnite tournament gets canceled and your whole evening has been ruined. But today, you have shown just how smart, mature, and talented you are. You took on this task of becoming a bar mitzvah with ease. If only Julia actually knew how little time you spent practicing in your room, and yet here you are and you were able to master your portions.
Jeremy, we're proud of the young man you've become. Your calm attitude, good sense of humor, and dedication to the things you love will serve you well in life. I hope you realize how lucky you are to be surrounded by a network of family, friends, and coaches who will do anything to help you achieve your goals. It's up to you now to dream big, take risks, good risks, and decide what you want to do and how far you want to go. We will always encourage you to set goals, and when you meet those goals, we'll encourage you to set ones that are even higher. The same network of people that is there to help you achieve your goals is going to be there for you if things don't work out. Good job, buddy.
Jeremy, it's also my honor to call upon our Director of Education, Arlene Botnick, who wants to share some words of blessing with you as well.
It's wonderful, Jeremy, to be here virtually with you as you become a bar mitzvah. You are the perfect student. You work hard, you do your best, you are positive, you are cooperative, you are very, very capable, and you are a true mensch. It was wonderful to see you as you developed during this past year, learning your portion so beautifully, writing your sermon with such thoughtfulness. You learned from the figures in your story, from Joshua and Caleb, that you have to have hope, that you have to see that leadership changes, and that you have to look at the best possibilities. You have to see the grapes on the vine, not the enemies that might be in the background. And so as you step into leadership in our synagogue, we look forward to you continuing as a part of our congregation. And as your mother has done for so many years, I look forward to see you become one of our teachers. And I'm very honored to present you several gifts. First of all, from the women of Solel. In your honor, a donation has been made to Solel's Torah Fund, as well as from your classmates, a donation has been made in your honor to that Torah Fund, which will give Solel, for the first time in about 50 years, its very own Torah written by our very own Soferet, our scribe. As well, from the religious committee, from your tutors and all your teachers, 2 very special books. First of all, a holiday machzor, which I know you will use, and another amazing book, Al Mezuzot Beitecha, on the doorpost of your house, a guide for when you someday have your own home to make it a Jewish home. So today, as you become bar mitzvah, we are so proud of you. You are a true mensch. Mazal tov.
Thank you, Arlene. It's a custom, a tradition here at Solel that when a young person becomes bar or bat mitzvah, we invite all the family members and the supporters, coaches, teachers, everyone who has been part of this journey so far to this point to come and stand with us on the bima to celebrate today. So although we are virtual this morning, we're not in the same space. I'm going to ask you to rise. I'm going to ask your grandparents to rise, Jeremy, your parents, your aunts, uncles, cousins, friends, those coaches and teachers who are with us this morning to stand up and to support you as we sing words of blessing for you. We're going to sing the words of Shehachianu, that we are so thankful to have arrived at this very joyous moment. And as we stand this morning, we send our positive energy to Jeremy. Jeremy, I want you to know that these are the people that have supported you thus far on your journey, and they will be with you to have your back going forward into the future. And it's my pleasure to join with our Rabbi Emeritus, Rabbi Larry Englander, to sing these words for you.
Jeremy, We wish you Mazal Tov on reaching this important milestone as a third-generation Solelnik. Just as your mother stood on the bima to celebrate her bat mitzvah, so today do you take your stand within the adult Jewish community. And so together, with your family and all of the extended community, we offer these words of blessing. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam שהחיינו וקיימנו והגיענו לזמן הזה.
ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם שהחיינו וקיימנו והגיענו לזמן הזה.
Mazal Tov.
Mazal Tov.
Mazel Tov, Jeremy and Jen, Ryan, Clara, Penny, Brian, Ed, Linda, Marcy, everyone who is joining us this morning. It is a beautiful day. We're so happy that you're here to celebrate with Jeremy. We're turning now to the concluding prayers of our service, so I invite you to join me now on page 149 for the words of Aleinu as we pray for the day when the world will be one and at peace. We rise physically or spiritually as we turn towards the east.
Aleinu l'shabeach l'adon hakol, לתת גדולה ליוצא בראשית, אשר שם חלקנו לייחד את שמו, וגור עלינו להמליך מלכותו, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים, הקדוש ברוך הוא, שהוא נוטה שמיים ויוסד ארץ, ומושב יקרו בשמיים ממעל, ושכינתו זו בגובה מרומים. הוא אלוהינו אין עוד, אמת מלכנו אפסולתו, כך כתוב בתורתו, וידעת היום והשבות אל לבביך, כי אדוני הוא האלוהים בשמיים ממעל, ועל הארץ מתחת אין עוד. ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ, ויאמרו יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו אחד.
If you're standing, you're invited to please be seated. We join together on page 155. We cannot merely pray to you, O God, to end war, for we know that you have made the world in a way that we must find our own path to peace within ourselves and with our neighbor. We cannot merely pray to you, O God, to end starvation, for you have already given us the resources with which to feed the entire world if we would only use them rightly. We cannot merely pray to you, O God, to root out prejudice, for you have already given us eyes with which to see the good in all people if we would only use them rightly. We cannot merely pray to you, O God, to end despair, for you have already given us the power to clear away slums and give hope, if only we would use our power justly. We cannot merely pray to you, O God, to end disease, for you have already given us great minds with which to search out cures and healings, if we would only use them constructively. Therefore we pray to you instead, O God, for strength, determination, and willpower, to do instead of merely to pray, to become instead of merely to wish, that our world may be safe, and that our lives may be blessed. At this time, our thoughts turn to those who have departed this earth, our own loved ones, those of our friends and neighbors, and those people of every community whose lives have been a blessing. As we remember them, we meditate on the meaning of love and of loss, of life and death. We recall the following for whom we are in Shloshim, the first 30 days of mourning at this time. Josephine Quintiliani, the grandmother of Sarah Quintiliani and Ellie Hoffman. Mel Kruger, the father of Adam Kruger and the father-in-law of Crystal Wong, the grandfather of Ephraim, Harmony, and Zane, and the husband of Evelyn. We recall also those whose yard site, the anniversary of whose death occurs this week. Dolores Yarmo, the mother of Rob and the grandmother of Melanie and Matthew. Rose Marlowe Lester, the mother of John Marlowe. Elvira Muller, the cousin of Lena Rule. Marie Lemming, the mother of Darlene Freeman. Fanny Kugelmass, the mother of Michael. Bernard Tash, the father of Marlene and Seymour, the father-in-law of Tom Dennis, the grandfather of Andrew. Hirsch Wanowitz, the cousin of Lila Wiersba. Blanche Cohen, the mother of Beverly Rothschild, the grandmother of Lisa and Debbie, and the great-grandmother of Ethan, Hayden, Emma, and Adina. Paula Korda, the aunt of Roz Weisberg. Kelly Wright, the grandmother of Rachel. Sigmund Steinmetz, the grandfather of Stephen Steinmetz. Lydia Schneider, the mother of Sylvia Loeffler and the grandmother of Romina and Julieta. Edward Isidore Tavis, the father of Peter, and Irving Bornstein, the father of Linda Blofield. I invite you to speak aloud or to hold in your heart the names of those for whom you are saying Kaddish this morning. As we invite those who are mourning to please rise first, so that we might say to you, Min hamakom tinachamu, may you find comfort in God's sheltering presence. Now as a community, we all rise to support those who are mourning and to say Kaddish for those who have no one to say it for them. As we repeat these words, hallowed by the generations, the words of the Kaddish prayer on page 159. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei rabbah, be'alma divrach chirutei v'yamlich malchutei, b'chayechon uv'yomechon, uv'chayei d'chol beit Yisrael, ba'agalau v'zman kar'i v'imru amen. Yehei shmei rabbah mevarach le'alam u'lam me'almaya, yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh, V'yit hadar v'yit aleh v'yit halal shmei d'kudesha b'richu. Le'elam in kol birchata v'shirata. Tushbechata v'nechemata. Da'amiran be'alma v'imru amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shemaya v'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Osei shalom b'mromav hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'al kol b'nei adam v'imru amen. May the source of peace send peace to all those who mourn, and comfort to all who are bereaved among us, among all the Jewish people, and among all the nations and families of earth. And let us say together, Amen. Please be seated, if you're standing. It's my pleasure to share some announcements on behalf of our congregation this morning. First of all, of course, Mazel Tov to Jeremy and to his family. And that link is up on the screen again. If you would like to share messages or photos with Jeremy, please do so that he'll have your messages and your wishes on this day of celebration. We are grateful to all of you for having joined us this morning at our service, and we invite you to join us again for upcoming Shabbat. Next Friday evening at 8 p.m. is our regular Erev Shabbat service. That's right here where you're finding us on our live stream this morning. And next Saturday, the 12th of June at 10 a.m. is our regular Erev Shabbat service. We'll be celebrating with Theo and Liz Haag as they become B'nai Mitzvah. Upcoming events in our community. This coming week on Sunday at 5:30 is the Jubilee inaugural for the Women's Rabbinic Network. As we celebrate 50 years of women in the rabbinate, I invite you to join me for that. It's a big celebration. Information about that is in our shamas. On June the 14th, Arlene's virtual book club. That's Monday at 7 p.m. The next book is Snow in August by Pete Hamill. It's part fairy tale, part historical, but completely engaging novel, and we encourage you to get some reading done before, but if not, that's okay. Arlene will explain it to you. We hope you'll join us as well for our Pride Erev Shabbat service. That's Friday the 25th of June at 8 p.m. on our live stream. Celebrate Pride with Solel. And upcoming during the summer months, we have a program called Israel Through the Looking Glass. That's going to be a breakfast club from Israel for a look at Israeli culture, diversity, the complexity of society, and more. That'll be 4 Sundays in June, July, and August. And more information about that is in our shamas. If you missed our town hall last week with Dr. Lowe, Peel Region's Medical Officer of Health, you can also find out more about that and watch the recording on our YouTube channel. And finally, we invite you to join us and participate in our Solel Living Torah project to be part of writing our new scroll. As part of our upcoming 50th anniversary celebrations, we are going to be creating our first brand new Torah scroll for Solel, and you can be part of this project by sponsoring a letter, a word, a phrase, a verse, a parsha, and more. There is a whole page on our website about that. We'd love it if you would take part and join us for that as well. We hope you'll join us for the services and events and programs that are upcoming. Again, more information went out in your shamas. You can always contact the office, or you can find information on our website and social media. As we close our service this morning, it's my pleasure to call upon Brian Laskin, Jeremy's grandpa, who's going to lead us in the words of Kiddush and Motzi, and we'll come back for a closing Zmirah, a closing song.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kitshanu mitzvotav v'tzivanu al netilat yadayim. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, hamotzi lechem min haaretz.
Amen.
B'tei Avon and Shabbat Shalom. I hope you have something special to enjoy in celebration of this wonderful day for Jeremy and his family. And we wish Shabbat Shalom to everyone, Mazel Tov to everybody. We're so happy to have been joining together to celebrate this day with you. A big thank you as well to Joel Brown, all things technical, and making us be able to be together even though we are in separate spaces this morning. So please join me with our closing song. The words are Shabbat Shalom, which means a Sabbath of peace. Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom.